Morning, everybody, or good afternoon, good evening, and good night, whenever you're watching us. I am Joe. That is Jeremy. The box office champ is here with us today. Jeremy is now writing for a new website. Tell us about your website. Where else can people find you now?
It's a website called boxofficechamps.com. It originally started as a kind of, like fantasy football or basketball or any sport for that matter, but for movies. And before, a movie season begins, you pick the 15 movies that you think you're going to make the most money throughout that season. And you can change it, but like before the movie comes out, but once the movie comes out, you're locked into that. So yeah, it's cool. I don't think I've ever even broken the top 10. But, you always have to get that one, like, sleeper hit, and I never pick it. But, it's okay. But, yeah, they've been expanding recently, and they decided to add a blog to the website. So I'm doing some weekend recaps for them.
And that's awesome, and you can't find me anywhere else. Just to let you know. So yes, good for you. That's awesome.
Thank you.
You guys, go to that website too. All right, do it. I don't know. All right. Anyway, we missed last week. We had some car difficulties. He had a flat tire, and living in Scranton, and that's living in Scranton. That's just the reason you get flat tires. So unfortunately, we couldn't get it together last week, but we're here this week, and we're going to get into it right now. The last movie we saw was Guardians of the Galaxy, and I just want to. Overall impression, fantastic film. Pretty much accomplished what it set out to do with the film. Is doing wonderfully at the box office, and already there's a second one. So, pretty much great overall impression for me. Just quickly, great job by Guardians of the Galaxy, the writers, and just everything about it was fantastic. The decisions made were fantastic.
Yes, I agree. In a lot of ways, Guardians of the Galaxy kind of feels like, the Avengers light, because, it's a team of all these disparate people with clashing personalities that end up coming together for the greater good in space. So, but, that's cool because it's unlike anything we've seen in Marvel movies before. So it's, like spacefaring, out with spaceships and all going to different planets and all this kind of things. So, it really gives you a different experience than previous Marvel movies. It has, a bunch of different aliens, most of which are basically just humans that have different color skin. But, whatever, it works. But yeah, it was very well cast. All the Guardians were well cast, and pretty much all the supporting roles, that was well done. Good action sequences. It was very funny, actually. It had that same like Avengers humor. Like the Avengers was actually a pretty funny movie. So was Guardians. You'll be laughing a lot, and Guardians really didn't take itself all that seriously. Like, it seemed to realize that Guardians of the Galaxy is not that popular of a property, so it was like self-aware of that at times in the movie. Especially even going back to the trailer when what's his face? Well, when Star-Lord was said his name and the other guy was like, who? So it was like the audience was asking who, but that sort of thing. So that was nice. So those are basically my thoughts.
Yeah, everything you said is correct, and like you said, the number one thing was really the casting and the writing within those casts. I mean, they got those cast members pretty much to play themselves. Like they've.
True.
I mean, Chris Pratt is pretty much playing Chris Pratt, and he did a great job. Getting in shape for the role, and everything. He looks the part, and he brings his Chris Pratt humor into that role. Zoe Saldana brings her Zoe Saldana-ness into that role, and it works. I have to say that I didn't hate her in the film, which is an accomplishment for her. Great job, Zoe. If you're watching this right now, I approve of your. Oh boy, and Dave Bautista. It's a question mark right there. The guy's not an actor, and he came in. He did a great job. He was very funny. Bradley Cooper. I had no doubt about Bradley Cooper and Vin Diesel, to be honest with you. They're just. I mean, Bradley Cooper's obviously he's an Oscar-nominated actor. He's fantastic. He's really come onto the scene after starring in Silver Linings Playbook into his serious acting. Obviously, he came onto the scene in The Hangover, but that terrible franchise. Anyway. And then Vin Diesel. Vin Diesel has played that a similar role like that before. He's been the Iron Giant, and it's you saw that. So I mean that's why I just think this was just a brilliant casting, and it really helped the film. So I mean everyone was fantastic in it, and the humor, it was a lot of fun. It had heart, and it was really those things that made you overlook everything that wasn't so great about the film. So it's really difficult to talk about the negatives of this film just because you had so much fun. I wouldn't put it at the top of the comic book films this year. I'd still put it at number 3 behind Captain America 2 and X-Men Days of Future Past. But that's not a knock on Guardians of the Galaxy at all. I mean, those movies ahead of them were great. It's basically like 1 and 2 and 3. They're just all so close, and this has got to be the greatest year in comic book films ever. I think it just has to be.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Especially considering the both of us actually liked The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which is almost unanimously hated.
You're right.
So.
It's true. Some people, I mean, it made $700 million worldwide, so somebody had to, but, like, it's just, everywhere I hear, it's just like, that movie was terrible, and, like, alright.
Yep.
But, I mean, when you compare it to the other films that have come out this year, that's I do definitely get it. But, yeah, I think this beats 2008's Dark Knight and Iron Man, and I don't know if there was a third one to come out that year. I think that was all 2008, right?
Wasn't The Incredible Hulk in 2008
The Incredible Hulk did come out, which was solid, but
yeah,
I would definitely give this year the edge, which is just great, because I love these films. I know that you love these films, and it opens up so much more potential for Marvel, and it even helps it even helps the DC universe, because people are going to want to go see these comic book movies. So, and Batman v Superman, don't suck. I mean, it's really your last hope. It just is. So I guess we've probably spent enough time on Guardians of the Galaxy.
I'd say so.
All right, now we're going to turn to the box office. I guess really quickly, in its opening weekend, Guardians of the Galaxy made $94 million.
Yes.
Which is huge, just short of Captain America 2 by like $1 million.
Yeah.
Okay.
$1 million.
So I mean that's a big opening, and that's huge for Marvel, based on a property that no one really knew. So
exactly.
I think that's really the big thing from the week before, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Wasn't really anything else interesting.
Okay.
So last weekend, let's start with number 5. That was Lucy. That fell 48% to $9.5 million. Total of $97.5. So obviously it's hitting over 100. Probably going to finish with like 115 or so. If you haven't heard, I hated this movie. Fourth place was The 100-Foot Journey that made $11 million. I don't really know what this movie is. I know it has Helen Mirren in it, and there are like two other younger people on the poster, so I think it's maybe a romantic comedy. I don't know. So the budget was $22 million, so that's an okay opening. The number 3 spot was Into the Storm that opened to $17.3 million. For being an effects-driven picture, its budget was apparently only $50 million, which isn't bad. And overseas markets really enjoy these like disaster movies and everything. So, I mean, if this pulls in like $45 million stateside, I could see it making like $80 million overseas or more. So, yeah, I could see it doing all right for itself. That's really not a bad opening considering how awful the movie looked. Mm-hmm. Our number 2 film was Guardians of the Galaxy. That fell 55% to $42.1 million and had a total of $176.5. That's a pretty good hold, especially in light of competition from our number 1 movie. Also, considering that we are in summer, weekdays are a lot better than they are during the school year. When The Winter Soldier came out. So after 2 weekends, Guardians of the Galaxy is like $15 million ahead of the pace of Winter Soldier. So chances are looking pretty good that it actually could outgross that. End up in the neighborhood of like 270 million. Which would, the chances of it being the number 1 movie of the summer are actually like really, really good right now. Which is great because we can have like a good movie, be number 1 and maybe hit like 275 or something. So, because the way it looks right now, Transformers: Age of Extinction isn't even going to hit 250, and like we really should hit 300, but we have to at least hit 250. That's just sad. Anyway, our number 1 movie last weekend was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and that opened to $65.6 million. That's huge. I think most people were really surprised by that. Like, the average prediction was probably like 35 to 40 million. I saw things as low as like in the 20s. Over 60 is absurd. I don't know where that came from, but good for the Ninja Turtles and Megan Fox. I guess she needed a hit, and she sure got one. I think it's fueled by nostalgia from young adults now who grew up with the cartoon and the earlier movies, as well as just kids today who want to go see something, and apparently more kids wanted to see that than wanted to see How to Train Your Dragon 2, and that kind of saddens me.
Sad.
But what can you do? TMNT might just sink like a total stone, but even still, it'll probably outgrow How to Train Your Dragon 2. I don't know about worldwide. We'll see on that. But, yeah, that's a really good opening.
I think it was intelligent. Real quickly, there is going to be a How to Train Your Dragon 3 for people out there. Come out in 2016. It's set to open the same weekend as Finding Dory, which I'm sure will change. But yeah, that would be really dumb. But anyway, I think that I always kind of thought that it was intelligent what they did. Not like really. I cannot figure out the word that I'm looking for, and it's killing me. I knew it when you were talking, but okay. Anyway, it was kind of intelligent to make the Ninja Turtles. Is it PG-13?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it might be PG, but I would think it's PG-13.
Right. So I think it was intelligent to make it PG-13 because the audience of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are older now. So you bring in that audience, and you also bring in the kids, and you kind of modernize it into the, I don't want to say a Transformers looking film, but kind of that type of film that brings in audiences these days. So I mean, I think that it was pretty intelligent to do that. The reviews are not so stellar, but for things that I see, people really like it. Well, not really like it, but they're just like, it was fun. It wasn't as bad as people say, except for Megan Fox. She was as bad as you would think she would be. So great opening there. I thought it was pretty intelligent what they did with the film, and that already has a sequel coming out, planned, if you will. I'm trying to think. The continued success of Lucy is mind-boggling to me. It's not like it's achieving great success, but like it hasn't like fallen off that much, and that's baffling to me because that movie was terrible. Like you said, Guardians of the Galaxy, Stronghold. Who the hell would have thought that like Guardians of the Galaxy would possibly be the best, the highest grossing film of the summer? Nobody.
No.
I mean, like if you said it was gonna possibly outgross The Winter Soldier, like people would have laughed, in your face.
Yeah, rightfully.
Yep. So, I mean, great for that. Everything else, Into the Storm, I just don't care, and I don't know why that film was made. Other than that, those are my quick thoughts on that. Okay. Well, okay, longer thoughts on the box office. Let's be honest, I don't have quick thoughts. Okay, moving on to the movies coming out this weekend. We have 3 of them apparently.
Yes.
But I can only think of 2.
Okay.
So what's the other one besides Let's Be Cops and The Expendables?
The Giver.
Okay, The Giver. Let's talk about that one first. This movie doesn't look interesting at all.
Okay. I like the book.
Okay.
It's one of the few books I was supposed to read for school, and I actually did. I like it. It's about like this society that seems like a utopia, but it's actually a dystopia because the people are like really super repressed, and they're like no emotions, kind of. So there's no like anger and all of those negative emotions, but there are also no positive emotions and blah blah blah. Jeff Bridges plays the Giver, and everyone's like sorted into these specific roles in society, and the main character of the story is gets sorted to be the receiver who receives from the Giver like all the like knowledge beyond their community and everything. So he, of all like happiness and strife and all those like things that make humans human. So that's basically the gist of the story. I like the story. The movie looks like crap, so yeah, there we go.
That's exactly the thing. I didn't read the book, so it's just that trailer just doesn't look good at all, or interesting, or well acted.
Nope.
Moving on, Let's Be Cops. I don't think it's going to end up being funny.
As I said in my August movie preview, I like Jake Johnson. I binge watched New Girl this summer, and he's one of the main characters in that. He's a funny guy, but Let's Be Cops looks like it would probably be more miss than hit. So it opened on a Wednesday, clearly trying to replicate the We're the Millers pattern, which also opened on Wednesday and like built up word of mouth. Despite bad reviews, ended up being really successful. I don't think Let's Be Cops is going to follow that formula.
Right. And finally, we have The Expendables 3. If you like the first and the second one, you'll probably like the third one.
Pretty much. Yeah. I'm sure there will be, action, fights, explosions, cheesy one-liners, cameos, There you go.
Yeah, I just hope that they make I hope they make a fourth one. I don't know if it will happen. I just hope they make a fourth one, and then, like, all they have time in the trailer for is to just announce the people's names and, like, show nothing else. Because it literally takes up, like, a minute and a half of the trailer.
Well, I heard Sly was thinking about making an Expendables, like Bells, with a bunch of chicks.
That's not a bad idea. So, we'll see what happens. Other than that, that's all the time we have this week. We'll see you next week. Go see some movies. There's some entertaining ones out there.